Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, and salutations of much love to rest of you sincere Akim, pushing the word and truth in sincerity. This is the Cleric Azar coming at you with another lesson. I am continuing my lot to bring you my ongoing series from Experts of Hollywood, This Factory of Perverseness. Another observation of predictive programming and how art imitates life and vice versa. Just a reminder, the purpose of my videos is to show correlations. A correlation is an observation of a mutual relationship or connection between two or more things. I use movies to extract or extrapolate a narrative. I'm not glorifying the Hollywood culture or life. I have a wide knowledge of films, whether they be foreign or domestic, and I just use them as an example to bring out those similarities and those correlations. To quote Cecil B. DeMille, the greatest source of material for motion pictures is the Bible. I call this lesson 2/3 of Jake Have Turned Part 2. And the image I have on display is from a film I've watched in my past. Of course, being this truth, I reflected on this particular series. Let me play out this scene, and I'm going to bring out some scriptures.
The Electra King kidnap ordeal is over. The Cyprus authorities say she has escaped after shooting dead 2 of her captors and is...
All right, I should have gave a spoiler alert, but I'm giving one now. This movie was released originally November 19th, 1999, or 23 years ago there. The title of it is The World Is Not Enough, directed by Michael Apted. And I was just thinking after my first lesson on part 1, it was a similar issue where a person was kidnapped, they were held for ransom, and Bond came in to save the day, and the person that was being rescued ended up stabbing Bond. Okay. Spoiler alert once again, same kind of thing happens in this film. This chick was kidnapped, she was a millionaire heiress, and it turned out to be the biggest villain of the film. Oh, this one was really messed up. And some people will sit back and say, you know, the other cat in this film was the main villain, but some cases, like this chick was the one that was controlling the whole thing. But this chick had undergone Stockholm Syndrome. Let me bring out some points about Stockholm Syndrome like I did in my part 1, just to reiterate. The 3 components of Stockholm Syndrome are cognitive, emotional, and social. Cognitive will be confusion, blurred memory, delusion, and recurring flashbacks. Emotional will be lack of feeling, fear, helplessness, hopelessness, aggression, depression, guilt, dependence on captor, and development of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Social, anxiety, irritability, cautiousness, and estrangement. And what triggers Stockholm Syndrome? Okay, let's bring it out. It occurs when hostages or abuse victims bond with their captors or abusers. This psychological connection develops over the course of the days, weeks, months, or even years of captivity or abuse. With this syndrome, hostages or abuse victims may come to sympathize with their captors. Okay, now this is what has happened to you Jakes. All right, hence the title of this lesson. You blacks, Native American, Latinos, which make up the lost tribes of Israel, are undergoing Stockholm Syndrome. Okay, this is what you have. And in some cases, I had this when I was in the world myself. Okay. Because, you know, we get to the point where we trust in oppression. I brought this scripture out in the last lesson. I'm going to bring it out again. Can't hone this down enough. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 12. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 12 reads, "Wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word, and trust in oppression and perverseness, and stay thereon." Okay? Because basically, Israel's been under captivity for so many times that he just starts to love his captor and sympathize with his captor. Almost feel bad for him for what he's done, but he doesn't feel bad for you, Jake. So just like in this video, you know, Bond's sitting here and he's feeling bad for this chick for what she's undergone. Meanwhile, it's just an act. And, you know, some of you Jake women you're the same way. You know, you get you on one-on-one, and you start to talk about racism and so forth. But in the end, you know, your actions speak louder than your words. You know what you're doing out in the world, and you know how you feel about your so-called captor, your lover. You know, Esau Edom, so-called white man, it's like, hey, it's like, look at what he's done to us. All right. But hey, Jacob's a homeborn slave. How do we know that? Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 14 brings it out. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? Okay. And I'll tell you why he's spoiled. All right. Because we went against the Heavenly Father. All right. We went against the statutes, laws, and commandments. Law, statutes, and commandments. Okay. And this is why we're in the situation we're in. Okay, we're under the curses. All right, as depicted in Deuteronomy chapter 28. I'm going to bring out verse 48. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48, for it reads, "Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things." Okay, so you got to go to this devil for everything you need. All right, food, shelter, and clothing. Okay. "And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee." And this is a destroyed nation, you blacks, Native Americans, Latinos. All right. Especially in our current state now. Okay. You're not going to remember what he did to you in the past. And he's making it very clear that in his school system and his curriculum, he's trying to take that history out. All right. Because this pertains to you. All right. And especially with the prophets being out in the street and highways and byways, starting with our elder apostles on down, letting the people know, specifically you, Jake, as well as the heathen, know what's about to happen. But we also let the people know what has already occurred. Okay, that yoke of iron was even put on the old people. Okay, I brought it out in the last lesson. I'm going to bring it out again. Isaiah chapter 47, verse 6. "I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance." And who's the inheritance? The children of Israel. "And given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy." And that was the hand of the heathen, specifically the Esau Edom, the top heathen. "And giving them into thine hand, thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke." And if you go ahead and Google the yoke of iron, one of the first images that pops up is an old Jake with a yoke of iron around his neck. Okay, all right. But hey, Jake learned to get over on that, and I was in that state of mind at one point myself, until the Most High woke me up. The water, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua for that. And so we've learned how to be servants and being servants in all the kingdoms that we were banished out to. All right, because Jake went into all the four corners of the world during this diaspora. Let's bring out 2 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 8. All right, 2 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 8, for it reads, "Nevertheless, they shall be his servants, that they may know my service and the service of the kingdoms of the countries." Okay, and that's what servitude is. All right, being a service to other nations. Okay, all right, and hey, the slave masters, they like to bring out those particular scriptures where it talks about the master role and the slave role, but the scriptures specifically tell you what it's talking about. Let's go into Colossians chapter 4, verse 1. "Masters, grant to your slaves justice and fairness, knowing that you too have a master in heaven." Now you see that? All right. Let's read that again. "Masters, grant to your slaves justice and fairness, knowing that you too have a master in heaven." All right. And you so-called Jakes, you weren't given justice and fairness. You're still looking forward to this day. All right. And we're still not free. If you got a social security card or social security number or driver's license, things of that sort, etc., you're still under servitude. Let's go into Ephesians chapter 6, verse 9. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 9, for it reads, "And masters, do the same things to them, and give up threatening, knowing that both their master and yours is in heaven." There is no partiality with him. All right, so, hey, this so-called white man, Esau Edom, he's not, he's not showing justice and fairness, and he's not even acknowledging the master of heaven, all right, Yahweh, all right, which you people urgently call God, okay? He basically, Esau Edom is considering himself the Most High himself. All right. How do we know that? Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4, for it reads, "Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." You see that? And that's the position he put himself in. All right. When the iconoclasm, painting over the images of the Most High, the angels, and even Yahweh Shai, the one you usually call Jesus Christ. Okay. It was Esau Edom, the so-called white man, that did that. Okay. But I'm going to end it on this. I always like to end my videos on a good note with some type of silver lining. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. So in other words, there is a happy ending. The ultimate future is captivity to Esau, Edom, and the other heathen nations. Okay, so this is karma. Okay, as pertaining to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 7, these curses will be put on our enemies. Okay, let's go into Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 2. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, such as are for death to death, and such as are for the sword to the sword, and such as are for the famine to the famine, and such as are for the captivity to the captivity. Okay, so just going back to the Stockholm Syndrome situation, all right, that's what's going to happen to Esau Edom. Okay, he's the one that's going to be confused. He's the one that's going to be delusion. He's going to have that blurred memory and that cognitive issue with thinking back to what position he was in. Okay, his emotional status is going to be affected as well. He's going to feel helpless. He's going to have a lack of feeling. He's going to one who's going to have fear. He's going to one who's going to feel hopeless. He's going to be feeling depressed, and I'm not sure if he's going to be feeling guilt, but he's going to have a dependence on his captor, which is going to be the elite of Israel, or the elect of Israel. Okay, all right, and you other Jakes out there, all right, going to have slaves as well. He's going to have social issues. He's going to have anxiety, irritability, cautiousness, and estrangement. You know, that gnashing, weeping, the gnashing of teeth. Okay, all right, and it's gonna happen almost overnight. It's not going to happen over the course of days, weeks, or months. All right, he's gonna sympathize with his captors. All right. All right, and the Stockholm Syndrome will definitely be triggered. Okay, I just wanted to bring this movie out if anyone hasn't seen it yet. One of my favorite Pierce Brosnan James Bond films. But hey, I was in a state of mind at one point. I didn't understand how someone who could be kidnapped and abused and put in a state of mind to sit back and want to sympathize with his captors. I had to wake up and realize, oh man, this is my people right here and there. Okay, and I know the Elder Apostle just in a recent video brought out Stockholm Syndrome, but I know the brothers at the GMS camp of Tampa brought that out the same day. So that's just the spirit. And I just wanted to share that. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, who gives me the strength and the spirit to continue to strive and endure in these last days. Shalom to the hopeful elect, and on to the next video.